I can almost guarantee you haven't heard about this film before, but I can absolutely guarantee that after this episode, you're going to want to go check it out for yourself. So let's talk about St. Trinians.
Musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein.
Before we dive into the episode proper, there are two quick notes I do want to make. Point number one, I know it's annoying to hear, it's certainly annoying to say, but please make sure you're liking and subscribing. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers before the end of the year, and I would really appreciate your help in doing so. Point number two, now if you are by chance watching from the UK, I want to apologize in advance. It's only in writing the script and doing more research for the episode that I found out that St. Trinians is actually a longer standing series than I initially thought. I'm only really aware of this film and its immediate sequel, so if you have any comments you want to chime in about references I missed, please make sure you're doing so, and again, just be nice about it. Now, St. Trinians made nearly $30 million at the box office from a budget of just $7 million, which not only is impressive on the surface, but it's made even more incredible considering A, the sheer volume of the cast, and B, the quality of said cast. We had Lena Headey, who'd go on to be in Game of Thrones and Dredd, amongst a slew of other roles. Comedian Russell Brand, who was in my favorite thing ever, which was Get 'Em to the Greek, another episode which I did. You should definitely go check that out. Toby Jones, who would show up in The Hunger Games, the MCU, and The Detectorists. Rupert Everett, who was playing dual roles as both Annabelle's dad as well as the headmistress. Now, he's been in the Shrek franchise and Inspector Gadget, amongst other things. Colin Firth from Shakespeare in Love, Pride and Prejudice, King's Speech, and Kingsman. Amara Khan from Lucky Man. Celia Imrie from The Borrowers, another episode I did. I mean, we even get Doctor Who's own Jodie Whittaker. Look, I know there's like 6 or 7 actors that I didn't name in that list, but I actually have to move on. If you really care that much, you can go to IMDB and have the time of your life, and you can talk about it in the comments below. Now, there's some very good reasons as to the story about a group of schoolgirls looking to perform a museum heist to keep their school open works actually surprisingly well despite the insane premise. Now, first and foremost would be the world building, and obviously one of the bigger talking points would be the characters themselves. The largest of the world building elements, which also serves as my most hilarious factor in all of this, is the fact that the school operates as an absolute criminal enterprise. From making their own grown-up beverages, operating a chop shop, having an on-site weapon range, and running a betting ring. I swear, it's like Peaky Blinders meets the goddamn kids next door, and strangely, I love everything about it. The visual gags are also really fantastic. Now, the first one we really get is used to convey a threatening tone when Annabelle first shows up and everyone's watching her from the staircase. But for the most part, they're just used for pure laughs. Like when the kids dropped off the ledge, when the headmistress is checking for whoopee cushions, the girl inside the fish tank. Even the early bullying scenes feel a lot like the camping scenes from The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan. And if you look closely as the film goes on, you'll see that the graffiti in the hallways get worse and worse as we go along. It's also worth noting that this film has introduction cards, and they did it before Transformers and the Suicide Squad films. And each of the group's titles actually feel unique and fitting. The music in the film, both the St. Trinian's theme and the rest of the soundtrack, help to give it the proper feeling of chaotic fun that perfectly matches with the on-screen vibe. As for the character dialogue and chemistry, now it is your typical comedic jabs and sweet moments, but there's something about the generally chaotic nature of the characters and the school that give it all a certain extra flair. From the small stuff like the hilarious, polite British insults,
This bag suck. You know, girlish laughter hit me like the lash of a hunting crop.
And the general vibe of the staff of the school who seem beyond being fazed by anything. But it's also on the larger things, like the relationship between Miss Fritten and Annabelle. From the moment Annabelle gets there, Miss Fritten does all she can to look out for her and really help her find herself. And it culminates in a scene that the two get while they're boxing and speaking with each other.
Welcome to the fold, girlie. Let's have a whiskey.
Annabelle gets a lot of time to bond with the rest of the students, in the same way that Miss Fritten gets time to banter with the staff and her ex-boyfriend. Not to mention, there's a moment where Miss Fritten's dog gets the John Wick treatment by accident, and there's a rather touching funeral scene which actually helps to fuel the students' motivation to pull off the heist at the end. And while I'm at it, I'm actually going to take another moment to further praise Miss Fritten. Every group of chaotic, fun characters needs an older leader who knows when to restrain them and when to let them go loose. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends has Madame Foster, the trio of Hogwarts had Dumbledore, and St. Trinian's has Miss Fritten.
One man's terrorist is another woman's freedom fighter, mister.
She understands and supports the girls she cares for by allowing them to express themselves to such a degree. She's shown to be incredibly intelligent, quite funny, and most importantly, she spends time with the girls. Compare her to, say, Dumbledore, who mainly only talked to the trio very sporadically, and even then he pretty much kept them in the dark. Miss Fritten does stage plays with the students, gives them advice on projects, and generally tries to be helpful any way she can. Not to mention, she's a hell of a painter, which oddly enough will come back up again in a moment. Now, I mentioned up top, there are a lot of things to enjoy about the film, but I feel like I kind of buried the lead when I said the premise so casually. Because the premise is insane. It's a heist movie, and I love everything about it. I love the planning, I love the execution, and I even love the switcheroo at the end. The whole thing starts with the students learning about the imminent foreclosure of the school. There's a brief moment where the students celebrate, but the head girl swiftly reminds them that if they have to leave this school, it means they're all going to be split up and have to attend normal schools where they cannot do the kind of shit they've been normally doing. So they immediately call in their local fence, Flash, for help. There's a hilarious back and forth about ways to make money before the head girl chimes in with the idea to steal the painting known as the Girl with the Pearl Earring. There's a quick montage of the girls going to the museum under the guise of a school field trip and gathering all the information they need. Then they draft up the final plan and start crafting and gathering everything they need, not limited to explosive charges.
As for the explosives, girls, I'd go for RDX rather than Trinian. Trust me, there's nothing worse than Rogue C4.
They execute the heist with nearly no issues, and then they pull off the best trick of all. They trick Annabelle's scumbag of a father to buy the quote-unquote stolen painting for his private collection, then switch out the real one for a fake. They get him to pay for the fake and turn in the real one back to the police under the guise of innocent girls finding the painting stored away somewhere. What's more incredible is the fact that the fake painting was made and signed by Miss Fritten herself. As I mentioned a moment ago, earlier in the film, there is a moment where Annabelle goes to talk with Miss Fritten, and Miss Fritten is in the middle of doing a painting, which shows just how talented she really is at it. If this episode happens to be shorter than usual, it should really only be a testament just how tight of a script that we got. In a brisk 90 minutes, we got some hilarious laughs and some actually wonderfully sweet, softer moments. So go watch it for yourself. Tell me I'm right, tell me I'm wrong. Either way, would really love to talk about this more. Regardless, I'm sure you'll at least have a few laughs along the way. Now, how about we wrap up this episode in our traditional style? That's right, we're playing Trinian Trivia, aka 6 Degrees of Muppets. This film has Rupert Everett, who was also in Dunstan Checks In with Jason Alexander, who was in Coneheads with Dan Aykroyd, who had a bit part in Casper, in which starred Christina Ricci, who was in Speed Racer, which was directed by the Wachowskis, who also directed the Matrix trilogy with Lawrence Fishburne, who appeared in Season 1, Episode 2 of The Muppets Show in 2015. If you're one of the few viewers who watches all the way to the end, I wholeheartedly thank you for doing so. You're super appreciated. I'll have another coming episode in the next week or two, but in the meantime, obviously, I'm curious, what do you think?
Musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein.